Once upon a time, in a bustling city, there lived a young man named Mark. He was 25 years old, full of dreams, but constantly burdened by worries. Every day, he carried a heavy bag on his shoulders. Inside were books, notes, and sometimes even unnecessary things. His friends often joked, "Mark, are you carrying bricks in that bag?" But the truth was, Mark's real burden wasn't the bag. It was his thoughts. He carried the weight of mistakes from the past, fear of the future, and doubts about his abilities. He often said to himself, "I wish I had done better in school. What if I fail in my job? What if people laugh at me?" These thoughts made his journey through life feel heavier than it actually was. One morning, while going to work, Mark passed by a small park. An old gardener was trimming the plants. Mark paused for a moment, tired from carrying his bag, and sat on a bench nearby. Seeing his troubled face, the gardener smiled and asked, "Young man, why do you look so exhausted? It's still morning." Mark sighed and said, "Uncle, I feel like I'm carrying the whole world on my shoulders. My mind never rests. I keep thinking about my failures, my future, and everything in between. I feel trapped." The gardener listened quietly, then pointed to Mark's bag. "What do you carry in there?" Mark opened it and showed him. "Books, notes, some clothes. Just in case I need them. I never know what might happen, so I carry everything." The gardener chuckled. "Son, do you realize that half the things in your bag you may never need today? Yet you carry them every single day. Isn't that tiring?" Mark nodded. "Yes, very tiring." The gardener smiled again and said, "Your mind is just like this bag. You keep filling it with unnecessary things, regrets of yesterday, worries of tomorrow, and fears that may never come true. Naturally, your journey feels heavy. If you want to walk freely, you must learn to empty the bag." Mark was puzzled. "But how do I empty my mind?" The gardener stood up and gave him a task. He handed Mark an empty bucket and pointed to a nearby tap. "Fill this bucket with water until it overflows, then carry it carefully to me." Mark did as told. The bucket was full to the brim, and he carried it slowly, focusing on not spilling a drop. When he finally reached the gardener, he smiled proudly. "I did it. Not a drop spilled." The gardener asked, "Tell me, while carrying the bucket, did you think about your past mistakes? Did you worry about tomorrow?" Mark shook his head. "No, I was only thinking about the water." "That," the gardener said gently, "is the secret. When you focus completely on the present moment, the unnecessary weight disappears. Your mind becomes light, just like your bag when you remove the extra load. Life is not meant to be lived in the past or in the future. It is meant to be lived now." Mark felt something shift inside him. He realized that his heavy thoughts were like useless items in his bag. He didn't have to carry them every day. From that day on, Mark changed. He started practicing mindfulness, focusing on one task at a time, living in the present, and letting go of regrets and fears. His colleagues noticed that he smiled more. His work improved, and he seemed lighter, as if the invisible bag he carried had finally been emptied. One evening, Mark met his friends again. They still teased him about his bag, but this time he laughed. "The real bag I carried was not on my shoulders, but in my mind. And now that bag is empty." Moral of the story: we often carry unnecessary burdens, worries, fears, and regrets that make life harder than it is. The secret to peace and happiness is to empty that bag and live in the present moment. Because life is not yesterday, nor tomorrow, it is now.